Unlock your life. Forgive your family today. There are pains that are born before you even become aware of the world. Pains you carry for years. Pains that shape the way you love, the way you trust, the way you breathe. Pains placed inside you by people who, in theory, should have been your first source of safety and love. Fathers, mothers, grandparents, uncles, siblings, figures who should have been shelter, but instead became storms. And you grew up trying to survive inside houses that were never homes, inside stores that were never yours, yet still mark you deeply. You remember the words. It's impossible to forget, because they were spoken when you had no protection. Cutting phrases, harsh, filled with judgment. Words repeated so many times they became truth inside you. You're useless. You cause problems. You're no good. You're a disappointment. You should be different. Words that entered your skin, made their home in your mind, and defined your self-worth before you ever had the chance to build it. But it wasn't always words. Sometimes it was silence that hurt you. The silence of closed doors. The silence of emotional coldness. The silence in the eyes that saw you as a burden. Silence filled with rejection, abandonment, and indifference. The kind of silence that screams inside you and convinces you that you're not worthy of affection, love, tenderness, or true human presence. You carried all of this without deserving it. You carried it because you were a child, because you depended on the same people who hurt you, because you had no way to escape, no way to understand, and because you didn't understand, you believed something was wrong with you. But there never was. There was never anything wrong with you. The people who should have loved you were broken. They were hurt. They carried inside them pains handed down by their parents, who received them from their own parents, coming from entire generations of abuse, emotional poverty, emotional ignorance, and untreated trauma. You were not born into a balanced environment. You were born inside a broken cycle, a family system trapped in patterns of pain. And without meaning to, you became part of that cycle. But now something different is happening. You are waking up. You are seeing what your family never saw. You are feeling what they never allowed themselves to feel. You are breaking a silence that lasted decades. And you are finally facing the truth. You are not the pain you received. You are the one who can transform it. For many, the family wound came in the form of direct abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse, physical abuse, aggression, yelling, threats, humiliation, or aggression disguised as jokes, as discipline, as for your own good. How many times were you diminished? How many times did they laugh at your pain? How many times did they mock your feelings? How many times were you told you were dramatic for suffering from things that truly hurt you? For others, the wound came in the form of abandonment. Parents who were physically present but emotionally dead. Parents who never asked how you felt. Parents who never noticed when you cried alone. Parents who treated your fragility as weakness. Parents who expected you to grow without support, without guidance, without affection, without validation. For many, the grandparents were even harsher. A rigid generation, traumatized, hardened by life. A generation that confused pain with strength. A generation that believed affection spoils, love weakens, vulnerability is dangerous. And this mindset was passed down to your parents, your uncles, your older siblings. A chain of emotional brutality repeated like a ritual. And in the middle of all this, you, shaped by forces you never chose, forced to develop mechanisms to survive, becoming a perfectionist so you wouldn't be criticized, becoming quiet so you wouldn't be punished, becoming strong so you wouldn't be crushed, becoming an adult before your time, because no one around you knew how to be an adult, but something inside you always knew something was wrong. Something inside you always knew that wasn't love. The child you once were, the child who desperately needed a hug, I believe in you. You are special. That child never died. It only hid, waiting for the moment it would finally be heard. And now it's asking to be freed. It's asking you to acknowledge it. It's asking you to finally say, none of this was your fault. Because it wasn't. It never was. You did not deserve harsh words. You did not deserve to be ignored. You did not deserve to be compared. You did not deserve to carry the emotional expectations of adults. You did not deserve the weight of anyone's emotional failure. Now the moment has come to do what your entire family never did. Feel, face, remember, cry, release, and free yourself. Your body holds memories. Memories of fear, memories of screams, memories of insults, memories of unfair punishments, memories of nights when you felt alone even while surrounded by people, memories that shaped your breathing, your nervous system, your ability to trust the world. This energy didn't disappear just because you grew up. It stayed. It stayed trapped. It stayed waiting for the right moment to heal. And that moment is now. Healing doesn't begin when you forget. Healing begins when you admit, when you acknowledge that yes, it destroyed you. Yes, it marked you. Yes, it froze you emotionally. Yes, you still carry pieces of it inside you. But that recognition is not weakness. It is strength. It is a beginning of energetic liberation. And here we arrive at the deepest point. The point that separates those who remain prisoners of the past from those who choose to live free. Forgiveness. Not forgiveness that absolves a mistake. Not forgiveness that humiliates itself. Not forgiveness that bows down. Not forgiveness that normalizes. Not superficial forgiveness. Liberating forgiveness. Forgiveness that breaks chains. Forgiveness that unlocks the soul. Forgiveness that returns your energy to you. Forgiveness that cleans out accumulated poison. Forgiveness that cuts the invisible cord linking you to everything that hurt you. Forgiveness that says, I will no longer carry the pain you put inside me. Forgiving doesn't mean reconnecting. It doesn't mean living together. It doesn't mean accepting again. It doesn't mean trusting. It doesn't mean forgetting. Forgiving means releasing. Releasing the energy stuck in your body. Releasing the emotional knot that has suffocated you for years. Releasing the words that echo in your mind. Releasing the trauma that paralyzes you. Releasing the anger that poisons your spirit. Releasing the resentment that keeps your life from moving. Because when you hold on to hatred, you are the one trapped. When you hold on to anger, it is your soul that gets sick. When you keep trauma alive, you are the one who stops living. Forgiveness is understanding that what they did belongs to them, but what you feel now belongs to you. And you have the right, more than that, the duty, to set yourself free. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply and imagine in front of you all those who hurt you. Parents, mothers, grandparents, siblings, uncles, anyone who left deep scars. Not to relive the pain, not to search for answers, not to demand repair, just a release. See each one of them carrying their own pain, their own shadows, their own unhealed wounds. See that what they did came from ignorance, unconsciousness, emotional blindness, trauma they themselves received. See that none of it was ever about you. And now say, even in silence, I return what is not mine. I release this pain. I let this story go. I will no longer be the keeper of anyone's suffering. Feel the energy detaching. Feel the lightness entering. Feel your breath returning. Feel the emotional space opening inside you. This is the moment when you break the cycle. The moment the child within you is finally freed. The moment you honor who you are, not what they made you believe you were. The moment you choose to live the life your family never knew how to live. Today, here, now, you become the point of healing in your lineage. You become the interruption of pain. You become the change generations were waiting for. You become the person who finally did what no one else could. Forgive to be free. Forgive to breathe. Forgive to live. From this day forward, you no longer carry what destroyed you. You carry only what builds you. And that changes everything.